Welcome to the Gal's Guide to the Galaxy podcast, where a group of gals gather for you one cool thing around our topic of the month. Is it ancient history? Is it breaking news? Is it safe for work? Well, that's up to each gal. All we know is that...
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
Hello and welcome back to the Gal's Guide to the Galaxy podcast. We've got actual gal pals together in the library for this recording.
Can you hear the books?
The books, they're talking to us. So yes, there will be no Zoom video of our silly faces. There will also be no internet dropouts. And there are quite a bit of odds that we might actually be drunker doing this in person than when we're on the Zoomy Zoom. I was going to have author-themed cocktails, but instead Walgreens had a sale. And so we have a variety of cocktails. But it is a new month and we have a new theme. And because November is National Novel Writing Month, we are celebrating the author gals all month long. May we be them, may we raise them. Wait, that's something different. But still, not exactly wrong or untrue, because I love some authors. So now I've heard that there is nothing scarier than a blank page. But then again, that was before anybody had to deal with 2020.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that still weighs out true. So plug in those laptops because we've got a lot to write about. I mean, talk about. So let me introduce my future award-winning writers for this month. First up, if I'm having a hard day, I text this gal because there is going to be an appropriate amount of swearing that will come right back at me like, fuck that guy, and you're awesome. Welcome back to Katie Harris. Woo! Katie,
Yay.
what have you been up to?
Oh, I don't know. Not much. Turning older.
Okay.
Had a birthday last month.
Birthday.
Me
Look at
too.
that.
An October
Oh.
birthday.
Birthdays.
Yes, they're the best.
Look at
Sorry,
you.
guys. They're the best.
I know, sorry.
I almost feel like even though the world's still always changing and we're not as much on lockdown,
Mhm.
this question, I don't do anything. That's what we're supposed to do, right? So it's approved.
Just chill. Yes, there you go.
Yeah,
Yes.
so.
There you go. You just are, and you're healthy. So, you know what? Mission accomplished. That's all you need, right?
There you go. So I'll pass on to maybe somebody that does something.
There you go.
Because I'm saving my energy for my gal I'm going to talk about this month, who does everything.
She does all the things.
Yeah.
Oh.
Reading about her was exhausting. So I'm going to save my energy.
That is fair. So next up, she has a brilliant painting series called That's What She Said. So therefore, she is my favorite author on canvas. Do you see what I did there?
Nice. Wow.
It is Bonnie Fillenworth. Yay, Bonnie! What is new with you, Darla? What have you been up to?
Not a whole lot. For the That's What She Said, the next one's probably going to be a little preview. The AOC, the I Am Someone's Daughter too.
Yes!
I've been working on that one.
Oh, so excited. Is will there be a picture of it next to the bobblehead that I got you of AOC for your birthday?
I love it. My favorite thing is that she's like 3 inches taller than the other ones.
She has an RBG one, and RBG is like a dwarf compared to AOC.
Well, I mean, RBG
in
is
real life,
tiny
she was,
anyway,
yes.
but-
I
She
didn't
was
know
tiny.
they tried to keep bobbleheads realistic to people's heights.
I not so much, no. I think it's
Oh.
two different companies, but I saw an
You had
AOC
me for a
bobblehead.
minute.
There's her collection.
Okay, if we're going to talk about bobbleheads,
Mary's like, I'm bringing the bobblehead game.
yeah.
I see your bobblehead and I
I'll
raise
raise
you.
you.
I dig it.
You know, now you guys are going to have to send these in for the show notes.
Oh no.
Nope.
Show notes. Yes, no, you'll totally have to send them in for the show notes of the bobblehead McGee's. Oh, what is it? Oh, look at that!
it's celebrity Jane Austen.
Celebrity
Nice.
Jane Austen as a bobblehead.
And
Oh
this
my
is-
gosh. And she has a guitar.
She's got a guitar, and there's actually more coming.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
you know,
Very cool.
you say bobblehead.
Right, exactly. You're like, I got this,
I got this.
down.
Da-da.
Oh my goodness. Well, let me formally introduce my glorious gal, Mary. Mary is joining us for the podcast for the first time. But you are not a stranger to the library. You were actually here like opening day.
I was. We were here, and it was right as the world was about to go awry.
Yeah, it was really weird.
But I had fun. I brought one of my gal pals with me, and we had a lot of fun. And I contributed your Jane titles,
exactly,
all the Jane Austen, and I've dropped off a couple other,
exactly
books since then. So,
and you've got a golden book here too.
That's
so,
right. Oh, look at me.
Our early donors, when we had our I Fund Women campaign, Mary was one of our golden books contributor.
Yeah.
So her name is in gold in the library, people.
And I think there's a picture of me with a tiara and stuff.
Always a picture with a tiara, because
yeah.
anybody who has a golden book also gets the choice of the tiara.
Should probably be wearing it now while we record.
It's quite heavy, and it's.
But
she has cat ears on.
Cat ears.
Yeah, well, I do have a tiara. Here's really silly is that I could do Amy Farrah Fowler out of my closet.
Oh, nice.
Including the tiara.
Oh,
Nice.
Perfect. There you go. I like it.
So.
See? Well, tell the good people about yourself so that, I don't fill their head with ideas, because that's later.
Well, I'm Mary Miller, and for the past 6 years, I have been the regional coordinator for Indiana for the Jane Austen Society of North America.
Woot woot.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm my term is ending, but I've been a Janeite for a while. Not as long as I probably should have been, because in high school, when I was told to read Pride and Prejudice, I read the Cliff Notes. And kids, for those of you who don't understand what Cliff Notes are, they're this little, yellow and black checkered book that you would buy at the bookstore that you would read like cheat notes, because there were no computers when I grew up.
It was like Google in pamphlet form.
Exactly, that you paid for because you didn't want to read the book.
Right.
So you paid $5-10 to read the Cliff Notes, get your report done, and go back to reading what you want to read.
Yes.
And I still got an A on the report.
Oh, good job. See?
So it wasn't until like the Sense and Sensibility movie came out and that was my now ex-husband was on a transatlantic flight, and he came back and says, I bet you might write like this, because I was a big, English person fan.
Right. And that
Anglophile.
kind of like that time period and stuff like that.
So I watched the, and then I started reading the books. And, I get it. So,
You're like, I can do this.
And so there's about 5,000 members of the North American Jane Austen Society.
Wow.
There are Jane Austen societies on all continents in about 50 countries.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So Janeites are everywhere.
Nice.
So
I like it.
some of us are more closet than others, but I'm not. But I have a lot of, I've met a lot of fun people. That, and then of course my other recent in the past 5 years or so is Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, yes.
So there's a lot of Janeite Sherlockians out there.
Oh, yeah. I can totally see that crossover, though.
Yeah, big time crossover. You throw Star Trek in there,
you
got the perfect Venn diagram.
Exactly.
So,
I feel like that describes a lot of my friends except Katie.
and here's the funny thing. When you start looking at like actors and actresses and the various stuff, I met Amanda Root.
Oh, yeah.
She played in Persuasion, one of the adaptations, and she was in BBC Sherlock, and she was also in a Star Trek thing. So when I met her a few years ago, I went up to her, and she's about my height. I'm about 4'10". She's about 5 feet. Of course, she's much smaller than me. I said, "You realize you meet my Venn diagram?" And I explained to it. She says, "That's brilliant. Can I use that?"
Right.
Feel free.
Exactly.
You are actually the Venn diagram I tell everybody that I am. So
I love that.
But Jane kind of started things as far as the modern novel. And as I look around the room here,
right,
if it wasn't for her, we may not see all these books.
I know, right? And it can encourage some women writers. Oh, fantastic. Well, as for me, I'm Dr. Leah Leach, the executive director of Gal's Guide. I'm excited for NaNoWriMo this month. Gal's Guide is actually doing some in-person write-ins and some online write-ins all month long. I've got a book that I've been meaning to get done. So I've been focusing on whatever this new normal is for us to kind of like settle into whatever that is. But the Glorious Library has been doing awesome, so it's time for me to write a book, which is lovely. To get some of those words out of my head and onto pages would be, nice. But before I do that, let's talk about some amazing authors who have already written down words onto pages and then got them published, and let's learn from them. So, Bonnie, do you want to go first?
I thought you were gonna go first.
You go
can
first. Are you ready? How about that?
I'm ready.
Okay,
I'm always
then-
ready.
Then go for
What
it,
is that
girl.
for? Maybe. Okay.
You're like, wait a minute, where's my Word doc?
It moved. It moved. No order moved on my phone. It went straight to.
She's
you
not
know-
ready. Go, Leah.
No, I'll be listening to the radio, and they'll be. I listen to NPR a lot, and they'll have like different charity foundations. So I'm like, take down what they are real quick.
Right, exactly. Yes.
So I jumped to that, and I was like, no, what am I
Do
doing?
what I do. I call my work voicemail and leave myself a message, Call Mary Work. It goes in there. Okay, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that.
Nice.
Write this down.
Get your to-do list.
Nice.
It's your personal dictation machine.
Hey, it works.
Yeah, whatever works. Who do you have for us,
Okay.
Miss Bonnie? I'm
think-
excited.
I think I have broken the record for the most names now.
Oh no.
Officially, we've gone past
What?
4.
Okay.
I'm doing Mary, Martha, Corinne, Morrison, Calborn, Roberts, Boggs,
Whoa.
also known as Cokie Roberts.
Okay, I know her by Cokie
Yeah.
Roberts.
Wow.
That's a lot of names.
Yes.
Why?
Nice. Why?
I'm assuming you'll explain
please.
it of why she has so many names.
I think it's she's from Louisiana, so I think
Okay.
it's like a southern
family.
like parishy kind of a thing.
Oh.
Like half of those, I think most of those she gets from her mom. It's
Okay.
pretty much all those same things, but I think there was a Linda in there.
Okay.
So she goes by
Linda.
Lindy.
When I think of Southern, I think of Linda.
But I
Linda.
think she has the Martha Corinne Morrison in her name.
Oh,
at least,
wow.
something like that.
Okay.
Because
Gotcha.
her mom had a big. I was like, okay, that must be a thing.
Nice.
But
I mean,
she-
she did not want any family member to be left out, I guess, in
I
the
don't
naming
know.
of the new child. All of
It's
you.
crazy. I didn't notice that with her sister or her brother
Oh,
or
was
her
she
husband. So I don't know what.
special? Okay, which
Oh.
part does Cokie come from?
Cokie
Yes.
comes from. She got the nickname from her brother,
Okay.
who could not pronounce her name
Any of the names?
because she was. I think she was going by Corrine.
Corrine. Okay.
Yeah, Corinne.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's not that he couldn't
You can
pronounce them, he
pronounce
just
it.
couldn't remember them.
Right.
Yeah.
There's that. Yeah. So Cokie it is. Cute.
She was born in New Orleans in 1943.
Gotcha.
Both of her parents at different times were members of Congress.
Oh.
Lindy and Hale Boggs.
Gotcha.
Hale Boggs, her father, was the majority leader, and he died in a plane crash in Alaska
Oh, goodness.
while he was out like campaigning.
Oof.
The plane just went missing, and they never found it.
Oh, no.
How old was she when that happened? Quiz time.
I can totally put it in the show notes later.
I think it was when she was a little kid.
You
Gotcha,
think maybe
okay.
she was an adult?
I think she was.
Yeah.
She was at least in college. I think.
Gotcha.
Either way, rough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Especially
Uh,
missing relative. He's out there somewhere.
Yeah, they never found. They never found the
Bears.
plane. Anybody?
Bears.
Nothing.
Right?
Yep.
True story.
Well, Alaska's pretty big.
Yeah.
Right.
But her mother, Lindy, his husband, ran for her husband's seat and won 82% of the vote
Oh.
and was reelected 7 more times.
Oh my gosh. So it wasn't just like a sympathy vote once. It
No.
was staying. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And then she was a U.S. ambassador.
Ah.
So she comes from this big political family. Her sister became the mayor of a borough of Princeton, New Jersey,
New Jersey.
and lost an eye to cancer and sported an eye patch.
She was a pirate?
She was a pirate.
Yes.
Just out of pirate.
I like it.
Her brother
She was
Tommy.
a pirate of New Jersey. Hold on a second.
The Southern Pirate of New Jersey.
Isn't that called the Mafia?
Tommy became a lawyer and a lobbyist.
Okay.
And Cokie decided she was going to be a political reporter.
Ah.
So instead of joining the politics herself, she decided to report on it.
I mean, she could report on her family that way.
Yeah, well, she talked about in interviews. She talks about how different politics are now and back then, where everyone they lived in DC, and you would know these people. You would have
Right.
barbecues with families from across the aisle.
It's more like
it
a
wasn't-
family.
Yeah,
Ah.
because they're all like, they're all families of senators or congressmen,
Yeah.
so they all knew each other.
I wonder what happened to that.
Well, people would ask her if it was like worse now than it was back in the day, and she would talk about that growing up, but she would also point out that people used to shoot each other.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like Hamilton?
There was like the dual hole
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah.
I mean, we did
Yeah.
have a vice president that
And
kind of
that,
shot somebody.
that one congressman that came in and just beat the other dude with the cane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't have that.
So we have a little bit more checked aggression.
But she
Little.
became a political reporter for NPR, ABC News, and she was an author, which is where I know her from.
Yeah.
Because when I joined the NPR train, she was already off of that. She was in kind of like the early stages of NPR with
Gotcha.
Nina Totenberg and a bunch of other ladies. Because that was one of the first places that would hire women back in the day.
Was the good old NPRs. Look
Mhm.
at that being progressive.
She wrote Capital Dames, which is
Yes.
about women in the Civil War times in Washington. We Are Our Mother's Daughters. Founding Mothers, which is like early American women.
Mhm.
Ladies of Liberty. And there's some children versions available.
I think we have all of those in the library except for the kids versions.
No.
Oh, kids versions. I do love a good Cokie book. Now they are thick.
Yeah. Well, I did most of them. I did download the audiobook.
Oh, okay.
And I know at least one of them, she narrates one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she would often joke about, to do all these works, she's mostly like reading like newspapers and stuff, but she's also mostly just reading these ladies' mail.
Oh,
Which she often like jokes about
it's a good way to do it.
that she's like diving into their personal stuff because the men at the time that were writing these letters, they're thinking, oh, I'm gonna do great grandiose things, so I'm writing these big pompous letters. And
Mhm.
the ladies are writing about like gossip.
Nice.
The interesting stuff.
Yeah. The ladies are writing about like one of the interviews she gave. She was talking about one of the ladies was writing about another senator, and she was like very glad that they're getting plumbing installed down that street because the dude is stinky.
Oh,
Like-
nice. See, that's the sort of thing that's
Well,
not
you
in
remember
history books.
Washington, D.C. was built on a swamp for crying
It
out loud.
was exactly.
This
It was
wasn't-
available.
Yeah.
But yeah, terrible.
When she started out to be a reporter, employers would just tell her that they don't hire women.
Oh,
Even after,
we're talking like the 60s at this point,
Yeah,
aren't we?
like, after they passed,
Right.
laws where you're not allowed to do that. And they would often tell you that with a hand on your knee.
Oh, cool.
She would always point out. And then a few years later, it was, oh, well, they already have the one woman.
Oh, yes, the quota.
Yes.
Mm.
They have the one woman.
Nice.
She often called for more women to be on the board.
Yes.
Like she would talk about, it's better now, and it's getting better, but there's still like no women on these boards of these companies.
Right.
And one of them, she asked where they find all these old white men, since they only make up a small sliver of the population.
Well, they'll be dying off soon.
2015 interview, she said that she hoped there would be a woman president in her lifetime.
Oh,
I'm sad to report she died last year.
she did.
She did.
So close. So close.
And she may have been working on a suffrage book before she died.
Oh.
Because I'd heard in several reviews, they were like, well, what's next?
Yeah, yeah.
So she was like thinking about it.
Oh,
So I
man.
would be very anxious to see if they publish something.
Right, exactly.
Later. But it's been about a year now, so I'm not sure if that's
How
happened.
far into the process she actually got.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you have a favorite of one of her books?
I would have a hard time picking between the Capital Dames and the Founding Mothers.
Gotcha.
I'm sure I've done the Ladies of Liberty, but I can't remember.
It's
I
not
can't remember
sticking
the
to
difference between the Founding Mothers and Ladies of Liberty.
you. Gotcha. I read Founding Mothers, and I really liked that one. I don't have one to compare it to, but I really liked Founding Mothers.
That's where I got the Abigail Adams quote.
Yes!
For my That's What She Said.
Remember
I
the
remember
ladies,
I was listening
John.
to that on the plane, and I wrote it down, and I was like, oh, it's good.
There's a good exchange in that book of how John's like, oh, that's so funny, remembering the ladies. What a great joke that women should be in the Constitution.
Yeah.
She's like, I wasn't kidding.
Mm.
I'm not playing, John.
I was listening to her give a lecture earlier, and I need to read up more on Mercy Otis Warren?
Okay, yes.
Is that her first name?
I think so.
But it sounded like all the dudes were like including her in all their little talks. Like they thought that she was like the shit.
She was
like,
okay.
They still didn't think that, she should have a
Right.
Yeah. But apparently they were all talking to her. So now I'm like, I gotta read up on her stuff.
Oh, I think we have a book about her in the library. I think so. And I'm like, wait a minute. She was in our suffragette collection, so. Haha.
She won all kinds of awards, including an Emmy, Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Journalism.
Ooh.
She was named one of the 50 greatest women in the history of broadcasting, the American woman in radio and television.
Oh my
Up
gosh.
there with
Barbara Wawa? Sorry, it's Barbara Walters, but I watch too much SNL.
SNL, that's right. Baba Wawa.
Baba
my
Wawa.
name's Lucille Ball.
Oh, yes.
I
Okay,
wanna
there you
call
go.
her
Yes.
Lucy Burns.
There you go.
Because I'm still in suffrage
You're
mode.
still in suffrage mode. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes. Lucille Ball.
And they both have red hair. So.
But one of them pays for it.
Yes. And in the interview that I watched today, at the end, she was given, or the lecture, she gave a statement that, because it was in a library,
Ooh.
she said, we are living in a moment in American culture and history where libraries have never been more important. You're going to have to put that on the website.
I will have to put it on the web. Right now, there's an RBG quote on the website, so that
Yes.
one's harder to. Oh, okay. That will have to be next on the
Let's
website.
stick it in there somewhere.
I'm just thinking we could have got Cokie here if.
Okay.
Did she die of cancer?
She died of cancer. She had
Oh.
breast cancer. She got it in they found out she had it in the early 2000s.
Okay.
Um,
So she kicked it once, and then it came back in another.
It came back,
Ah.
and it seemed like it was sudden because I don't remember anything about her being in the hospital for a while or anything.
How old was she when she passed?
75.
Wow. Okay, that's the same age as my mom.
Right. I mean, it's a quality of life. It's not like, she was 37. But
Or
still.
Jane, 41.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But at the same time, you're like, no, I want some more Cokie.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to send you all kinds of little videos for the show notes.
Yes. Okay.
Because that lecture, the lecture I watched today was really good.
Sweet.
And then my favorite one that I found 2 years ago when I was doing my first women's history calendar, I found she's doing an interview with 3 historical reenactors of
Yes!
Abigail Adams, Martha Washington, and Dolly Madison. And they're just hilarious because she's kind of just being there and asking these women these questions to kind of lead them and talk to them. And at one point she's like, oh, I just want to let you know, I've read your mail. And I think it's the lady who's Dolly Madison's like, oh my,
Yes, you sent me that
Great.
one. Oh, that is hilarious.
I
The
love that
Cokie Roberts interviewing reenactors. Plus, the Martha Washington lady is a badass. I like her. She's got all the attitude in that.
Mhm. It's really good.
Oh, fantastic.
That's all I've got on Cokie, though. We've got several of her books, and you should read them all.
Exactly. I loved her. I loved her when she did the interviews and specials. Wasn't she on CBS Sunday Morning every now and again doing
she was
little
on a
little
morning
bits?
show for years. She was the lady anchor on the
Right.
Sunday morning show. She covered politics a lot in Washington. She was living in Greece for a while.
Ooh, nice.
And she got a call. She was on kind of a reserve reporter or whatever. She was technically a reporter, but they weren't really calling her for anything.
Freelancing, sort of.
And then the Pope died, and they needed someone to get out there to cover being the new Pope.
And she was in the area
Yes.
ish.
So that was one of
Nice.
her first big things.
Have you ladies ever heard of Cokie Roberts?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
I hadn't heard about her until the books. And then I started noticing, I was like, she was on NPR one morning, and I was like, oh my God, it's Cokie! Like, what? And I
That's
was
what
like,
she looks
oh,
like.
She used to do that for a living. Like,
See. She
Remember,
was
I'm
on the
old.
stuff.
I remember Cokie.
But sometimes faces and names and things like that.
no.
It's difficult. Oh, you're not my husband then. My husband's just like going, do I know this person? Like he's referring to me. And I'm like, I don't know who you know.
I may look young, but I am actually old. So. And my joints will confirm that. So.
yeah, a lot of the like memorial service things on YouTube, you know, remembering Cokie Roberts.
Yeah.
A lot of them talked about Nina Totenberg. I forget who the third woman was, but they were like,
Wasn't the Gwen? Was it Gwen? No. Okay. All right. I'm gonna look.
it's
up
probably another NPR later.
probably, but yes.
Yes. But they were kind of like the supporters of all these young women getting into
Yeah.
journalism. They were cheering them on and always, you know, helping them through everything. So it's like their work mama, kind of.
Oh, they're major cheerleader sort of
Yes.
thing. Yes. Aw. I will see if I put up NPR ladies.
It was weird because I didn't. It's so weird when you see people on NPR, like, because you hear their voices all the time.
And then you see
And
them
you
and you're
see
like,
them.
wait a
That
minute.
And
was
you
my
realize
first
they
time.
have a face for radio.
It was weird.
It's a thing.
It was weird because that was the first this was the first time I'd seen Nina Totenberg's face, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, I didn't know what I was expecting. I was like, that's just weird.
This is very true. Hey, do you know if you put in NPR ladies, pretty much all you get is the sweaty balls from SNL? It is one of the best skits on SNL, but it's
Oh
pretty
my
much
goodness.
just tons and tons of Anna Gasteyer. And it's like, all right,
Yeah,
fine.
Maybe NPR.org
Right, I know, exactly.
with the org at the end.
But I can always put it in the show notes, too, of like, who was the third? The Three Musketeers of early NPR.
Yeah.
While this might be a
Ladies version.
podcast, there seems to be a lot of reading involved, people. So,
Always.
Yeah.
It's difficult.
Again, refer back earlier to the Cliff Notes.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly,
that's,
yes.
That's what show notes are now. They're now Cliff Notes. That's
They're
the
the-
modern. That's the
We
modern.
don't know now, but
Yeah.
we'll know later when we look it up.
Yeah, the reenactment came up though.
Of course it did.
Da-da-da.
So everybody who's ever played somebody
well,
is coming up.
apparently, the lady in that, I think it's the lady that plays Martha Washington, often like has a job being another historic lady. Like she's
Oh,
like
really?
a famous reenactor lady.
She's a moonlighter as two
She's-
different
Yeah,
historical
she
lines.
usually plays another lady, and I'm trying to think of what it is.
Ah, gotcha.
Maybe like not Jefferson's wife because she was dead.
Correct. Exactly. She died
She's
many years
not Sally
before
Hemings.
he was
Oh.
even president.
Yeah.
And then Sally. Yeah. Another
I think
first lady?
It's another. I feel like it's another first
Is it
lady.
maybe Mary Lincoln? Mary Todd Lincoln?
No.
I have a
She's
friend
a-
that does Mary Todd Lincoln and Jane Austen
Ah.
and several Louisa Alcott.
Oh, Louisa May Alcott.
Yeah, she
There you
does
go.
a lot of them.
Ah, she's got the author persona down.
Nice.
See? Sweet. Well, that wraps it up for us this week. Join us next week as our next gal pal shares her one cool author thing as the Gals Guide podcast continues. Thanks for listening. For show notes, links, and images from this week's show, visit galsguide.org. Want exclusive stuff like deleted bits and major bloopers? Become a Gals Guide patron today. Thanks for listening.